Okay, so today we're going to talk about vertical shifts in the sine and the cosine graph and wave. So what I have on the screen here is the general equation of the sine and the cosine graph. I wrote both of them down. They look really similar except for the word, which is normal. And then the thing we're going to talk about today would be the vertical shift, which is the plus d here at the end. And what that causes is it causes your entire graph to move up or down, which will move your center line. And I'll talk a little bit about that today. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to pause and write down the information at the top of your paper here. Did you pause it? You should really pause it because I'm going to move down. Alright, so let's talk about number 1, the amplitude. Okay, well the amplitude's the number that's in the front, and the number in the front here is 1. And the next thing is vertical shift. Well, vertical shift is the number here at the end, which is what's new today. So our vertical shift here is 2. Now, we don't have any other numbers here, so our period is 2 pi, which is a normal period for a sine or a cosine wave. And since we split this up into fourths, if I take 2 pi and I divide it by 4, I get pi over 2. So each one of these is going to be a half a pi. So 1/2, 1, 3/2, and then 2 pi. So that is what you're going to have for your intervals. Okay, so let's talk about this amplitude and vertical shift going on here. Now, normally when we have a sine wave, I'm going to do a little sketch here for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we have a sine wave, this is how it ends up looking. So what we're going to do is we're literally going to pick this guy up, and we're going to move him up 2 spaces. Well, it's hard for some students, and myself, adults, included, to just move that up 2 spaces. Like my teacher used to make us do a T-chart, and then we'd add 2 and blah, blah, blah. But there's kind of an easier way, and I think it's moving the center line. So if I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what I'm going to draw in here, I do not want you to draw. I do not want you to draw this. This is what the normal sine wave would look like right there. Okay, but we're going to move him up 2 spaces. So instead of the center line being right there at the 0 like this, we're going to move it up 2, and we're going to put a dotted line there, like that. So your center line's been moved up. Now, our amplitude's 1 in both directions, okay? So from there, I want you to, from that center, do another dotted line of 1 in both directions, like that, okay? So once you do that, then you can plot it like you normally would. Remember, the sine wave starts at the center line, which if you don't know that, go back up here at the little reference picture. Up, middle, down, up. Just like that. Alright, so that is what our sine wave is going to look like with a vertical shift of 2. Everything else about it's normal. But the little dotted lines, I think, help keep you, in the boundaries that you're supposed to stay in, and kind of give you a reference. So remember, if I went too fast, you can rewind it, rewatch it, do whatever you need to do to get the good grade and to understand what's going on. Or you could ask questions in class or email one of your teachers, or email your teacher after this to ask questions. All right, so on this next one, the amplitude is 2, and the vertical shift here is -1. Everything else is totally normal, so we're going to keep it 2 pi and pi over 2. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, so we got pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi right here. So let's go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now cosine, if you remember, I'm going to do a little sketch of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you remember, it kind of looks like this, like that. And notice it's, from the center out 1 in each direction with the amplitude of 1. Well, in this case, we are actually going to shift it down 1. So our center line is now going to be here, so you're going to do a little dotted line like this. And our amplitude is 2. So from that dotted line, which mine is red, I want you to go 2 in both directions. I want you to put another dotted line. So just like that. Okay, so then from here we do our normal cosine wave like we normally would do, except everything has been shifted down, just like this. There we go. So there's our new cosine wave. Remember, if I went too fast, rewind it, rewatch it. Honestly, with videos, you should really just watch it the first time and then go back the second time and write everything down, because You know as well as I do, it's hard to write everything down and be listening at the exact same time. That's what makes these videos great, because you can see it a couple of times. So on this next one here, we have an amplitude. Now don't say the amplitude's 2. Just remember that negative means there is going to be a reflection. Okay, so the amplitude is not negative 2, it is just 2. And there will be a reflection. Our vertical shift is 3, and our period is the same with 2 pi, so pi over 2 for our intervals. So we go ahead and make our intervals, so pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And we're doing everything like we normally would, just putting in our little intervals here, having a good old time. There we go. Okay, so a sine wave, I like to make a little reference up here. A sine wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, usually, starts like this, goes like this. So now let's go ahead and dot in where our vertical shift is going to be. So it's going to be up 3, and then we have an amplitude of 2 in both directions, so it should look something like that. Okay, now be careful. We do have a reflection. Da-da-da. So if we have a reflection, that means the sine wave is going to look like this. So when I plot this, I have to be careful, and I have to make sure that it's an upside down sine wave, kind of like this. There we go. Okay, so it has shifted up 3, has an amplitude of 2, and it has a reflection. So you kind of like graph it upside down. Let's go on to number 4. On number 4, we have an amplitude of 1, because I don't see anything written there, so there is a 1 in the front here like that. Looks like our period and our intervals are the same, and then the only thing that has changed here is there's going to be a vertical shift of -2, so we're going to move everything down 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just setting everything up here. There we go. Perfect. And remember, our center line is going to change. So our new center line is going to be down 2 from where it usually is. So there we go. And then our amplitude is 1. So it's just going to be 1 in both directions there, just like that. And if we think about what a sine wave looks like, it looks something like this, right? So there's your sine wave. So that is what we're going to do here. So sine wave, there it is. Whew, it's a little crazy. I'm like right on top of the numbers, but you get the idea there, hopefully, of what that sine wave looks like. Okay? Remember, if I'm going too fast, go back and rewatch these. Let's go to number 5. Number 5, our amplitude is 3, and our vertical shift is 1, and it looks like to me everything else is just perfectly normal. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my graph like I have been on the last 4 problems here. This is going to be pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So what you got to look at first here is your vertical shift. So our center line is going to change. It's going to move up 1. So I'm going to move the center line up 1 just like this. And then from there, what's going to happen is you have an amplitude of 3. So I go out 1, 2, 3 in this direction, and I go out 1, 2, 3 in this direction. And there's our fabulous little boundaries. And if we remember, cosine starts up here and it goes through like this. Okay, and some of you are good at remembering that. I just like drawing a little reference to, I don't know, help me visualize it a little bit more when I'm drawing it down here. So this is going to start here, go down here, here, and then go up to here. And there it is in all its glory. Your beautiful cosine wave. So remember, you can go back and rewatch this if you need to rewatch it. Bring questions to class. Email your teacher if you have questions. You know, whatever you need, just make sure you understand it and do what you got to do to get that A on doing vertical shifts in your sine and cosine graphs. So until next time, have a fabulous rest of your day. Bye-bye.